Welcome back to another episode of Iron Bros. We are here today for another episode. Hey, Kyle. How you doing, man?
Hey, Anthony.
I like the jacket you're wearing, man.
Thanks,
That's dropping in the new Young LA drop coming up pretty soon.
January 30th.
30th?
Yeah.
It's a retro jacket. I like it. I've been going for a more retro theme lately,
Cool.
so
Feels
it is cool.
comfortable.
It is cool, man.
You know what size this is?
Extra large?
No.
XXL.
No. Yeah, 2X.
I mentioned today you looked a little leaner than normal. Do I look leaner than normal? I should.
Yeah, you look approximately 3 pounds leaner than usual.
I did drop a lot of weight this week. But with dropping weight, I kind of wanted to have an idea with this episode. And I was like, you know what, Kyle? Let's have this episode be about my contest prep.
Sure.
So let's dive into that, Kyle. I wanted to ask you a couple questions regarding my prep. So far, we are almost 10 weeks out. In 2 days, we'll be 10 weeks out. So it's been 6 weeks. That's a little bit over a month. And it's been pretty smooth so far. So I wanted to ask you from a coach's perspective, with everything going into a contest prep, like how do you structure it? Start off with there. How do you structure a prep with me, with my baseline, with where I was at?
So I'll keep it more general first, and then I'll
Sure.
dive into you, right? So generally, if I go to structure a prep, I look at things like a project, right? So dating back to your favorite school days, right? When you're in class and you have that project, there's always a completion date. So in this case, that's show day, the intended show. If it doesn't make sense on paper and I can't look at someone and say, okay, this person's approximately this body fat, this is what they'd have to lose each week, then I know it's not achievable for the most part, for most people. In ideal situations, as any coach, you're always working together.
Yeah.
Prior to saying, hey, I want to do a show in X weeks, because then you leave the possibility to have errors along the way, and you kind of have to plan at some point. Even if you have the perfect client and you start just 12 weeks out and we never worked together before, I don't know how aggressive I need to be. I don't know what your mentality is like. Sometimes when prep starts to get quote-unquote harder, perhaps that person kind of takes their foot off the gas a little bit. So I don't know that when I sometimes don't have that time prior experience working with them leading into the prep.
Yep.
Now, in your situation, this is not our first rodeo by any means, but I think this is the first time that we really had you in the ideal spot to start a prep. And what I mean in the past, I don't think you were in horrible places or any disadvantageous position, but you allowed me this time around to know, hey, this is exactly kind of what I'm eating. This is how I'm training. This is where I'm at. Versus in the past, sometimes you'd be good for a few weeks leading up to it, but generally you always started a little heavier than we would want, or your food wasn't where it needed to be. So the first couple weeks of prep, I would have to feed you a lot more than usual, really not care about fat loss or anything like that, because I knew I needed to establish a new baseline. But this time around, because you've been pretty much spot on for your off season, I think you really killed it, you know? We are now able to kind of start prep where you would normally be 10 weeks out last time. We were able to do that already at 16 weeks out. Does that kind of make sense?
Yep, I understand.
All right.
I understand. I had a question, because when you were talking about it, right, you're talking about some clients deeper into prep, they left their foot off the gas pedal. So what would a client do for their foot to get off the gas pedal? Because they're following everything, right? You're telling them what to eat, they do that. What is it? They just like they get lazier during cardio or training, or
So I just think
stalls?
about in those days that you'll experience soon when you're a few weeks out and you're just tired. Like waking up in the morning, you still feel very tired and you got to go do cardio. Now your cardio has never been super high, but for some people, unfortunately, the person has to use a lot of cardio to kind of get to that level. The last thing most people want to do sometimes is do that cardio. So in those cases, the clients I'm referring to are individuals that it's hard for them to stay motivated. Maybe they don't have the right support system. That's why I think who you're around is a driving factor in how successful prep will be or how easy it'll be, right? So in those cases where people take their foot off the gas pedal, it's as I go to lower, let's just say you're a few weeks out and it's a minute difference to your nutritional plan that was changed, okay? And you now offset it almost. Let's just say we reduce 25 grams of carbs or 10 grams of fat, virtually 90 to 100 kcals on a day, right? And from anecdotal evidence with that client, I generally would know what to expect in terms of fat loss or what their body weight's going to do. If that person now is usually burning a certain amount of calories from their daily activities, neat. So, and what I mean by that is perhaps they go to the grocery store, they always park relatively far away. And now 3 or 4 weeks out,
Closer.
they're parking in the handicap parking. They're getting Uber delivery. You're asking Allie, hey, make my food. I don't feel like getting off the couch. Those little things add up, and they make the difference, again, from people that are 4 weeks out on stage to people that are where they need to be.
I never thought about that. That's actually crazy. Luckily for me, myself, I get very, like, anal about things. I just keep everything the same. So,
But most people don't have that mindset. It's just more challenging. And again, I think it's who you're around, so you have a good support system, and it's not your first experience. You're doing it for the right reasons, whereas other people that are getting into it, they wouldn't even know what it feels like to be in that kind of shape, or maybe they have like a lot of things on their schedule that they're trying to do. So 4 to 6 weeks out, you're not trying to, as a kid, what do people do in the summer home from college, right? They're going to different parties, they're social events.
That's
when you're
what kids
4 weeks
do.
out, that's what most kids do. But 4 to 6 weeks out even, you could do that.
Yeah.
However, you probably are not going to want to. And for the people that were always doing it and all of a sudden they stop, now again, that's a difference. So things like that matter. And that's why you just want to collect as much data as possible and learn someone's like psyche more so than just where they're at nutritionally. Because that only tells a certain picture. But if I know the person has a really demanding job and maybe they're trying to compete during a very busy season, depending on the industry, I now know that's something to consider, right? So maybe I want them ahead of schedule. Instead of at 6 weeks out, I want them to look like 3 weeks out because I know they're going to be entering a very tough point of their work.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider.
Now, do you keep, like, notes with your clients?
So I recommend anyone, regardless if someone does things on, I do things a little unique. I use Microsoft Word and PDFs, so I try to keep it very clean, like professional when I give things out. Some people just do WhatsApp. Some people use Excel sheets. Whatever method you want to use is perfectly fine. But for every single client that I've ever had, I always have a folder, and then I typically have a page of just notes, and then I have a page where I document, hey, these are the changes that were made. You'll see it more commonly on Excel sheets where people have different tabs of like, hey, this was the person's macros on January 10th. These are the macros on January 30th, things like that. But I always have it to look back on. Makes sense?
What type of notes do you have on me?
So the notes I would have on you basically are where we were at 16 weeks out, 12 weeks out, how you looked. So I always try to take those specific 16, 12, 8, 4. Those are milestone moments in prep, I feel. Every week counts, but those are the ones that you should really be able to see a change from 16 to 12, from 12 to 8, from 8 to 4, 4 to show. Yeah, so looking back, it's cool sometimes to see, like, okay, this is where he was at. This is how much he changed, and this is kind of the difference in calories. This is the changes I made. Maybe I added in cardio, things like that.
So it's just my progress photos so far at those milestone markers.
Pretty much. With notes in terms of what you were eating. Maybe I gave you high days. Maybe you're reporting, hey, maybe you were sick one week. So I know this is kind of like
why
for Allie. She was sick a week, right? So I know looking back, like, that's not going to be the best week to really look for in terms of her response after I made a dietary change.
So now, what about, that's what you have for me now, right? We've been experienced. We've been with each other now for almost 5 years. Sounds weird, right? But 2019, 2024. So
Yikes.
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. Okay.
Did you keep notes on me too when I was first starting out with you? Or was that not a thing you did coaching wise?
I did keep notes, but I depended on keeping a lot of my emails. And then as I had mentioned, I think one time to you, that first prep for Easterns, they just don't exist anymore because the way we had sent check-ins were like attaching up. I forgot how we did it, but it doesn't exist anymore. And I was just like, oh man, like all the pictures are gone. Like this is useless.
Yeah.
So, but now moving forward, like I'm going to be using like an app, and it's a little different. So we could talk about that offline, but it just keeps things more organized. And I think the more organized you can stay as a coach, the better decision-making abilities you'll have thereafter.
So from my perspective on coaching, right, it seems like there's a formula that every coach has, which I feel like you could use the word cookie cutter, but it's not, right? Because you have a formula for the client. So with me so far, you only done, I think, 2 changes. You dropped food once originally, and then dropped it again the second time. What made you drop it the second time? Was there something of just like ramping things up? Was it a stall?
I look at your body, it didn't respond as quickly as I had thought it would based on the drop in calories, so I needed to be more aggressive rather than coast back. Do I think you still made progress? Yes, but again, we have a timeline that we're looking to stick
project,
to. So I want to make sure that you're moving along. And that doesn't mean, like, sometimes people send check-ins, and maybe you were like this in the beginning, where you expect to be changes. Like, hey, I checked in, something has to change.
Yeah.
Sometimes nothing has to change. And the more focused I've been, I guess, in the last year or so on things that are unrelated to the diet, unrelated to training, but more so have to do with like what's going on outside of life. Because those are all things that factor in to why you're making progress or not making progress. You have a great support system. God forbid you didn't have a good support system. Maybe someone's by themselves. Maybe they get lonely, or maybe they're getting out of a relationship or having trouble. Those are going to make a difference. So I can make the dietary change, but now we have stress, a stress response from something external that I need to consider. Because now as I pull their calories down, put them into more deficit, which is inducing stress on its own as well on the body, I have to factor in this external thing going on. So as far as getting back to your root question of why I made those changes, it's just to kind of keep along our project timeline of, hey, I know some weight needs to come off.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now, does it ever get to a point where, because I know you like to get a lot of your clients, like me, ready before the show.
Yeah.
Does that ever come with like negatives of being ready too early? Because I saw there's a comment on my YouTube video. Some guy was like, "Oh, you're gonna be lean. You're gonna get lean way too quick." Is that gonna have any negative effect?
If someone's ready, you can only hold stage conditioning for so long before your body starts to fall apart. And what I mean by that is you just don't have that same look. You look very tired. And an extreme example would be if you see some pros that have competed and they do a lot of shows.
Yeah.
They're just not making the improvements you would think. They're still lean, but they don't look as hard and lean as they were last time. So I always tell people, like, do you think they were messing around with their diet? Like a pro, we're talking, like an Olympian.
Yep.
Were they messing around the last 8 weeks? No, it's just their body is just not responding anymore. No matter they do more cardio, more food, less food, nothing's happening, right? It's just a sign that, hey, your body is just not responding how it should. And that's why it's important to take the off season, working with someone like yourself, to where you put in all that time this off season. Your body was in a really healthy spot to where you have so much food that some people will never see, and you're 10 weeks out and your food is way higher than they'll ever see in their peak off season, because they don't actually take the time to upregulate their metabolism and have that baseline.
That's something I've seen a lot, I feel like, with pros, especially guys that are like trying to just continue to be on the Olympia stage, is they'll compete every single year, if not multiple shows within that year, to get to the Olympia. And then their physiques just look, it's a very drug look, where obviously full muscles, veins, striations, whatever it is, but they just look tired, exhausted. Their body doesn't look like 3D pop, like alive. And that's something I definitely want to always remind myself not to do.
Right.
I remember speaking to Jay, I feel like I said this in a podcast before, but when I turn pro and I want to get to that stage, I want to give myself long breaks in between. If I show up and I fall short of the placing I wanted to, I'm not going to go hop into another show. I want to go back to the drawing board, let my body reset, refuel up, and then start with a nice slate again.
Exactly. And the most common thing you see when people that do a show, coming out of the show, everyone's always motivated, can't wait to catch that rebound.
Yeah.
It lasts about 2 weeks, maybe 3.
Like a rebound for muscle growth? Or
no, their mindset and their motivation, their the inspiration. You'll see them posting on social media like, rebound phase in full effect. This plus 20.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here. Like, you're not going to follow the plan because you're not capable of following the plan. People want to compete too frequently. So very few times have I come across someone, at least that I've been with, knock on any wood, where they competed and we just messed up the peak completely to where they just didn't look the part. And had they looked the part, they would have won. Now, there are some stages, the more heavily muscled you are, the more volatile the prep could be in terms of peaking someone.
Volatile.
So what I'm saying, right, if you have someone that's pushing super, super hard into that last week of the show, you're 240, 250 on stage, certain variables need to be considered to what kind of retention of water is going to be on their physique. If you're using heavy diuretics, things like that really start to impact the physique. So if you're trying to peak for back-to-back shows, for example, everyone always says it's very harsh on the body. The more you use things like diuretics, the harder it is on your body.
Yeah, they're drugs.
And you can physically want to do the show, but your body is going to give you the other signs of, hey, I'm not doing this no matter what you do. Yeah. So you never want to drug to the finish line. And you'll see that on that professional level to where they just miss it by a spot, and then they want to compete again. But on the regional circuit, what I was getting at was very rarely do you see someone lose, and it's because they missed their peak. It's just, hey, you need more size, and the answer for more size is simply time and off season. That is where you grow,
understood.
right? You're not growing when your calories are sub 2,000. It's just not happening. I don't care how you train. Make sense?
Yep. Now I have a thought here, and I don't know how to word the question exactly, so bear with me here. Now, obviously, to lose weight and get ready for stage or show or whatever, you can add cardio and take away food, right? Those are your basic tools besides drugs and fat burners. Those are your basic tools. Have you seen one maybe gives the body a better look if you take away more food and keep the cardio lower, or up the cardio and keep the food higher? Or does it not really matter at all?
It's a tough question because I think it really varies depending on the person.
Okay.
If your food is super low and your cardio is super high, generally you can only sustain that for so long before there's going to be a negative impact on the physique, right?
Yes.
So, and by low, again, where it's unique to individuals is your low day, you don't need 0 carb days. Your 0 carb day, I'll rip 6 pounds off you. I know what it will do. Other people, they do need those low days. Their body type, similar to mine, for example, I need days that are low like that to generate the response and keep things moving along. In a perfect world, you would be kind of ready for the show. You back off cardio. That's going to allow, if you're showing your legs, for example, or your men's physique, and you're not showing your legs, maybe I can push cardio a little bit harder into this show. I don't really need their legs super dry and rested and popping because they're not showing it. So I'd back off cardio and then slowly up food. In other cases, the fuller I can keep them, the better. But I think ultimately, if you have the supplementation in place, people will be surprised how little food you sometimes need, and you can sustain your muscle and just get into that fat burning zone. But a lot of people just have a hard time eating low amount of food. But you take someone like Chris Bumstead, he's very revealing with what he's eating. He diets pretty hard.
Hard, yeah.
And the guys that don't diet hard, they might be eating 300 grams of carbs, right? So this is why your question is an interesting one, because I can keep your food high, but then I can give you T3 and different thyroid medication. Mm-hmm. So your food's high.
Oh, I see what
you know what I'm saying?
Which he doesn't do that for me, by the way.
Right.
I'm not a T3 person.
So it's like, it's finicky. So you'll see those coaches sometimes promote. They'll use somebody, hey, I'm feeding this person 400, 500 grams of carbs. Yeah, but you have 25
of T3.
MCG of T3 sitting in there. So what does that really do? I don't even have to look at someone's spine if I use T3 and I continue to up it. At some point, they're just going to continue that progress. But again, there's repercussions for doing so. So I guess it's a balancing act. I don't mind pushing someone's cardio. I have a limit of how much cardio I'll really have someone do.
What is it? Hour and a half?
2 hours.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'll go 2 hours if needed with some people. If you need more than 2 hours, I think you just need to pick a new show. Yeah. That's a lot, though.
That is a lot.
Yeah,
what would you break it up? Hour an hour?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a long time. But few and far between. But like I said, at the end of the day, if this is what needs to be done, and that's what needs to be done.
Is that more of girls that would get that much cardio, or a guy?
I've had some guys that their body's just very stubborn, and they're stuck on doing a show, and I tell them, I'm not helping you outside. Inside of 2 weeks, if you don't look somewhat where you need to be, I'm good. I'm out. Mm-hmm. You're not using my name for this show. I'm not doing it. Gotcha. And if you want to do it, this is what I think you need to do based on where things are. So food can only go so low. So I'll push cardio to try to maintain food to be at a certain level, to at least, fuel the workout.
I mean, a lot of respect to you, man, because there's a lot of shit. You fucked up my shoe.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of different variables a coach has taken into account for. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, one day I do want to be a bodybuilding coach. My dad texted me yesterday, actually.
Really?
Because one of my friends from high school just became like a NASM certified trainer. And I was like, oh, congratulations to him. I was like, it's an online course, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I was like, one day I want to be a bodybuilding coach. And that was really the conversation, the extent of it. But
no, that's cool, though.
Something I would want to do.
And I think I spoke on it last episode. I think it's really important to be able to kind of walk the walk. And it doesn't mean you have to be super successful at bodybuilding, but you need to at least take your physique from somewhere and show where you brought it. Right? And I think that's like anything in life. If someone was asking you, hey, how do you do social media? Although it's a little different, they're asking you because you've been there. They're not going to ask someone who just started an Instagram yesterday, right? So you doing that over the years, you're accumulating knowledge, and then how you apply it is what matters.
Gotcha. So now, let's go back to my prep. Yeah, I want to talk about my prep right now. Can you share what your next foreseeable plan is throughout this prep? Or is that bad to tell the client who's in the prep?
No, I mean, with where you are, again, I don't have your thing memorized, so I think your cardio is 5 days, 30 minutes?
25.
25. So the next changes would either be increasing cardio a bit, or I think, again, we have your food so damn high, I'd probably just knock that down a little bit to where we start really focusing on having days where I'm trying to keep certain body parts fuller or trying to still build those certain body parts because we're lean enough to still make some progress there. And then as we start to bring that down, I'll start to titrate up cardio a bit. Rarely do I do like both worlds or drastic changes in both. Like I'm not going to go from 5 days to 25 minutes of cardio to 6 days of 40 minutes of cardio. That's extreme.
Yeah, no.
I know I never had it.
You've always done 5-minute increments with me.
For you. And for most people, it'd be 10 minutes, to be honest. Usually 5 is not a lot for somebody, especially if it's like low intensity, steady state. So I'll usually try to go like from 25. I might go to the 6 days at 30. And then instead of 35 minutes, I'll go right to 40, something like that. But for you, again, we've always done 5-minute increments, and then I'll add that day. But generally, we don't add the day till like 8 out, usually, something like that.
Did you do that last prep?
I have to double check exactly. Look back in my notes on my folder.
Yeah. All right. So I will foresee less food and more cardio.
Yeah, but that, I mean, you're not, as far as your appetite thus far in prep, like, how do you feel? Are you hungry?
I mean, I could definitely eat my meals every 2 hours with these. Yeah, it's pretty easy, I'd say. I'm not like starving where it's painful.
Digestively, how do you?
Good, really good.
Better than usual?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, like, a lot of my close friends know I'm a gassy person.
Yeah.
That has subsided a lot.
Cool.
So that's been nice. Stomach itself, like when I used to eat a meal, I'd feel very full. My stomach would feel distended. I don't really got that no more. Like I feel like I want to compose after a meal, you know? Yeah, everything feels pretty good. And go to sleep, like it's not like hunger, but I just feel nice. This is the sweet spot of prep I talk about.
Right.
Where like if I could live at this amount of food every single day, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Because I'm not force feeding and I'm not extreme dieting. I got a nice amount going on.
Right.
You know?
Okay. I mean, that's all perfect notes to have, right? That's why I always think any coach should like ask those questions because they're important. At the end of the day, like you could be looking a certain way, but if the biofeedback that you provide is the opposite of what you're saying, hey, like I feel extremely distended, you know, I'm never hungry, I'm sleeping like shit. Those are all signs of like something's wrong.
Yeah.
That needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because think of like there's an obstacle, there's a wall here. If we don't make adjustments, you're going to hit that wall. And by the time you have to go around it, now we have to backtrack a little bit. So it's always about being proactive, providing that feedback. And you're experienced enough to kind of know when something's wrong now, whereas the first time you might be going through this,
yeah, you got no clue.
You're not really sure. Like, I think I'm supposed to feel this way. So that's where it's always important to maybe have someone to guide you and point out, hey, it's okay to feel this way. You should feel this way. You shouldn't feel this way.
What I love about my first prep was obviously I had no clue what to expect. So I was just listening to what you told me to do and like following it. And the best part about it too was I was in school, so I would get like 4 hours or 5 hours of sleep a night, and I did prep.
It worked.
It worked well. I guess that's pretty much it on my prep.
Yeah,
think so, right? Oh, do you foresee a projected weight? You think end weight, or you don't really think about that?
I don't really think of that, man. I just want you to be at the best you can be. If that happens to be 205, it's 205. If it's high 190s and that's what's going to win a pro shot, that's what's going to win a pro card, like that's what we do, you know? So sometimes, I think it's a really good question because I think back to when I was your age, and I mean, you're well ahead of where I was physique-wise, but sometimes people are so excited to get to 225, to get to 250, to be over 200 pounds even, and they start to prep and they realize that weight falls off right away sometimes. Now for you, again, you took it off season very serious, and you took a good amount of time. It wasn't just like an 8-week rebound period where you spike in weight and then it comes right off. So when we started to diet, contrary to the prior preps, we didn't really see anything come off at all. No. And that's usually I'm feeding you up, so it kind of offsets that a little bit. But in your case, for most people that are starting prep because they're sloppy going in, that first week, they see the 4 to 5 pound difference. The second week, 3 to 4 pound difference. And it's like very drastic. And all of a sudden they go from 225 and they're like 210. They're like, I thought I'd be 210 on stage. Like, no, because it's not a true weight. So don't always tie the number in a head. And that's why I try to hold off. I'll have an idea once I'm like a 4 to 6 out of what the person will probably be, especially depending on if there are compounds in the mix that hold water for some people. then I'll kind of get an idea of like, this is where I think they are. And then again, that's under 3 weeks out. If you are where you need to be, it's just fine tuning to know like, hey, this person at 200 pounds, a little too full. This person at 192, entirely too flat. Their sweet spot 195, 196. What do I need to do to get them there on the specific day that I want?
You're very good at that too. I was talking about that with, I think, Grant and Allie, when obviously you weren't there. You and James.
Shit?
I was talking really good shit.
Okay.
And James's showed a video. You got him exactly on the dot on the weight you wanted him to. Same thing with Anton's.
Jesse too.
Jesse, and with me, I know you have. So you're very good at.
Jesse's different though, because his was, he had all drugs in his. Everyone else is natural.
Happy birthday today. Actually, it's his birthday, Jesse.
It is his birthday when we're filming this, so happy birthday.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, even so, in different cases, different people, different levels of maturity on their muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I become pretty good at it. But again, all those, what they all have in common, you mentioned you, Jesse, James.
But can I ask you, is it
Go ahead.
more intuition where you just like, you just know? Or is it like, oh, I know if I give him the normal refeed, he'll gain a pound, and that's what I do?
It's a little bit of both, to be honest, especially once that day of, when I'm usually with somebody the whole day and I'm always kind of looking at them. I can just ask, like, hey, did you go to the bathroom? Like, gauge, was it like a short, pee, medium, long? In duration, and I can kind of know, like, all right, I gave you this much water, I gave you this much food, like, this is probably what you are. But usually, again, it's just from data and you doing those things that perhaps when you first worked with me and other people that might work with me, I asked them their PM weight, their AM weight, and different times of days depending on what food we're eating, and then I think, oh, this is like fucking stupid, he doesn't look at this, but I write it down. I know, like, okay, I gave this person 2 days in a row, this is where they are in the morning, this is where they're at night. If I start to control water because they're drinking 180 ounces of fluids a day, and I reduce that to 90, I know where they should be. It's like simple calculations, technically, that you just have to know. And that's what I think most people don't do. They just they have a formula, and they apply it to everyone instead of actually, at the end of the day, looking at someone and saying, like, I don't care what the data says, this is not right. There's something wrong. He's holding extra water because he's probably freaking out right now because he's going to be on stage tomorrow, and he's, like, overthinking,
Understood completely.
He probably didn't, but that's okay. Hopefully they did.
I do. All right, we're going to go back into another segment where we answer your guys' questions. So we have a form in the description box if you guys want to go and fill that out. We had a lot more responses this time around. So thank you guys for filling these out. Grant over here was a beast and got them all ready for us. So here we go.
Grant, you have some good ones here?
Yeah.
We have, I think, about 10. I can't count real quick. Here we go. Kyle.
Okay, go first. Go.
How did Sir Kyle get into becoming a coach? I know this story already. But they don't, so share it.
You know the story?
Fuck, not really.
You start the story. I'd like to hear you start the story. Let's just hear it.
Oh, you started coaching some buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Some buddies. I don't think it was your... I know the college story, but I don't think it was the college buddies, right?
No. So I got into coaching.
No, you just want to take over?
Yeah, I'll
You don't
take
wanna
over.
show
It was
the
a
college
horrible
story?
story. It was a horrible... No, we're going to skip that one, okay? So, sitting down in bed one day, right? I was a client of Phil Viz, and I am someone that... I wouldn't say I ask a lot of questions. I just ask very, particular questions, and then I would just... not memorize, but understand the response and ask a follow-up question if I didn't understand. And I would kind of just take that knowledge in for myself. Not for any other reason. There's no ulterior motive. And one of the days, Phil asked, do you ever consider coaching? And to me, coaching, no. That's fucking lame. I'm good, right? However, he just mentioned, I feel like you do a good job. You're making a lot of progress with your own physique and the questions you ask. You come off intelligent, and I know what you do for work. I just think it'd be a good thing to try. So I said, you know what, okay. So I happened to gather a few troops, different clients in the area. They were typically just my friends, and I coached them for free. And that's why I always tell people, before you start charging astronomical prices like people do nowadays when they have no experience at all, you should coach people for free. So just say I didn't know both of you. I would coach you for free. You're trusting me to help you, and I'm trusting that you are my guinea pigs. And if I make mistakes, it's free, whatever. And that's how it started. And all the people I work with, I didn't ask the level of questions, nor did I have the level of experience that I have now, but it gave me an opportunity to make those mistakes and to learn. And then from there, when I felt more comfortable after about 6 months, I started at a very low rate. I think it was $150. It was $450 for 3 months, which most people are $400 for a month now, which is crazy, and they have no experience. But that's what I started at not too long ago, and I didn't look at it. I didn't care about making money from it because I had a corporate job, and that was my primary A option. I never cared not to have that. And once I realized that there was some opportunity it was a lucrative career, and then I had the opportunity. I met you, and you introduced me to some of your friends, and like I was able to take my experience, and I realized, hey, I'm actually like pretty decent at this compared to a lot of people I see out here that are flaunting the jewelry, the houses, the cars. And I know that person got no degree. They might say they have a degree, like most people do. They lie, right? But you can look it up and find out if they do or not. And they haven't. It's just they can't even formulate sentences or speak to anything. So that for me, I was just, if they can do it, I sure as hell can do this. And then that's how it kind of started.
See, that's something I didn't go to college, and I wish I had some better grammar, some better vocabulary like you. You're very poetic. You can write great sentences and good Instagram captions. So maybe I'll go back to college so I can become.
I think it's different nowadays though, because you have people can use AI. I can look at Grant and then you can use a software and it looks like I'm looking straight ahead.
And about like every episode, it feels like you're kind of throwing shots at people.
No.
Really?
How so?
The house
more shots than you?
The house. What?
No, I'm saying anybody. You know how people you see basketball players, they try to like flaunt like wads of money.
Yeah.
You're fucking broke, bro. Like
I know. All right, next question. What was the hardest thing you guys have had to overcome in your relationships?
I presume
Our relationships or like girlfriends? Hardest thing is to overcome in your relationships.
I take that as not.
I take that as
us,
in like,
but like
not us.
I don't think so. The way because your relationship's plural.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe it's like a prep related question. Like you're prepping and you start to have trouble with.
Yeah,
you know?
I see that. For me, what's wrong with that
Let's go
one?
with that one. I hope whoever's answered that question.
I honestly haven't had many hard things to deal with in a relationship in prep. So kind of hard for me to answer that because like genuinely I can't. There's nothing that sticks out. It's like this was okay. The one thing actually was last prep, my show day. Remember that? You know my show day?
I do.
So I hate to share this story. I love my girlfriend so much, but here we go.
Oh no! Wait, this is about a plate.
Yeah, you weren't really there for my show day. You were with me.
Yeah, Grant wasn't. He wasn't on the squad anymore.
So my show day for Universe, I did one show last year. Was Universe. My girlfriend did 2 shows. She decided to qualify. She won. She killed it. And now that she's qualified, why not do nationals, right? So the way it worked is girls go on Friday and the guys go on Saturday. So I had to keep I was a day out when Allie was competing, so I couldn't be there for her show. So I watched her on the screen. I was supporting her, all that good stuff. And obviously, I'm sure she wanted me there. I was with her that whole prep, 16 weeks by her side, and I couldn't have been there for that show day, which she 100% understood, which this wasn't the issue here. But I got there, and obviously she didn't place like how she wanted to. I think she got 9th, but at her first national show is a hell of an achievement. That's awesome. 9th place is crazy good. So obviously she's going to be a little bit down. So she was down, but I was focused now on my day coming up. I'm still trying to carb up. I'm still controlling my water. I'm trying to peak for my show. And it wasn't like, I feel like how girls, think about like, I don't know, how girls act. They want you to just know what's wrong. But I couldn't really figure that out as I was focusing on myself because I had a prep. I had to get ready for my show that I just worked 16 weeks for. So she needed comfort. She needed hugs and cuddles, but I'm all tanned up. I'm trying to just relax ready for my show, and I didn't think about that. So she was a little bit upset, just needing some love and comfort due to all that work she put in and not placing how she wanted to. And then when it came to my show day, I guess I didn't feel the support like I thought I would have because she was down and upset. So then my show day was a little bit interfered with. So that was the biggest thing where it was like a hiccup. But yeah, we discussed it afterwards, and it's not going to happen again on our next show. So we are good there.
I'm glad to hear that.
That's not going to happen again?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys talked about it. That's good.
What's yours, man? I feel like you have a couple.
So,
this question right here. What was the hardest thing you got?
I see the question. I'm trying to see the right answer here.
Which relationship?
So, You trying to get me in trouble.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but
I'm
you're
not saying nothing about that awful motherfucking relationship. No. Hell no. All right? So I can talk to previous ones, and then I think in general, relationships in general, from my experience with everyone, is just managing people's expectations. So bodybuilding is selfish. To be good at bodybuilding, you have to be selfish.
Yep.
You are going to make those sacrifices where, you know, you're my girlfriend, it's your birthday, I'm a week out, I'm not going to the party, something like that. Now, that's not a specific example.
I'd go to the party, bro. I'd just bring
but-
a meal.
Those good bodybuilders are sitting at home and they're sitting in their habitat. They're going to the gym when they're supposed to, and that's what they need to do.
Uh-huh.
And I think whether maybe it's in work, so I can think back to, again, working in corporate America, I may think I can perform the way I was and live up to the expectations that I had at work, but at the end of the day, I'm not. So me being, I guess, just honest and doing a true assessment, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, I know I'm super tired and fatigued, and my priority right now isn't getting this job done. Let me ask for help, or let me delegate this task to someone that I'd normally do, because I'm not going to be able to do it the way it should be done. And then when it comes to coaching, my relationship with my clients, if I'm competing 2 weeks out, I'm not being the coach I normally am, because it's not really possible. It's definitely more challenging. So I can either focus on those clients and myself, and then kind of everyone else, like, hey, we're doing every other week check-in, and I need you to respect this next 2 week period of my life. But at first, sometimes you have to be in a certain spot to be confident enough to be willing to say that to someone, and they don't take it the wrong way. And I think that's where it becomes hard. So being honest with whether it's your partner, your friends, having that right support system that understands that, hey, as you look better and you get ready for the show, you become an asshole. And you look back and you're asking me to take pictures and I didn't take it in the right spot. Like crazy things like that. And you don't even like the pictures perhaps after. And then 6 weeks later, you look and think, wow, I was actually pretty lean here. I don't know why I was pissed off.
Yeah.
Those are the memories I have when I think back to like relationships and my experience competing, and where I had those trials and tribulations.
Isn't that a song, Trials and Tribulations? Sounds like a rap song.
I'm sorry, I was reading the next question.
But thank
I don't know.
How was your day? How was your day?
My day's lovely.
You got an oil change?
I got an oil change. I woke up at 5. I did my cardio. I'm doing good, man. Getting a death face, bro. 35.
Fat fuck.
10 weeks out, bro.
So it's 10 weeks out. Think about it, my prep. I'm screwed. All right, if you could have one.
No, you didn't answer the question. How was your day?
It was all right so far. I woke up, I set an alarm for 10, 5 hours after you woke up.
I thought we talked about getting on a better sleep schedule this week.
It's a rest day, bro. I'll go to sleep today at 10. Yeah, I'll go to sleep today at 10 p.m.
Every day is the same, okay? Rest day or not.
But anyways, the people above me were moving, so I heard loud banging and shit. So that was kind of annoying. But the day so far is good. All right, if you could have one food be 0 calories for the rest of your life, what would it be? Cookies?
For me, hell yeah. What about you? You strike me as a fruit bowl.
A fruit bowl? Really?
What would it be?
Honestly, bro, probably like pizza.
Pizza? Really? You're a pizza guy?
I don't eat it because it's not the best for you.
Yeah, it is. There's no nutritional value.
No, there's no protein in that shit. So if I could just eat pizza, that'd be cool.
Okay.
Next question. Anthony, what show you plan on doing? I love to come support and watch. And then when looking for a show, do you have any specific or reasons for why you choose one over another? Thanks, man. So yeah, you can come support. The first show is in New Jersey. It's called like the Metropolitan. Is at Teaneck, the Marriott at Teaneck, April 6th. You can come out there. And then the national show I plan on doing, if I qualify, that would be May 16th in May 17th. May 17th.
Did you hear that weak-ass response?
You gotta stay humble.
If I qualify, you need to be confident. When I qualify, I'm doing this. If I qualify. Sheesh.
May 17th,
All right.
Charleston. It's the show's Junior USA's. So you can look it up online. I forget what hotel and venue that is. And then when I look for a show, was there any reasons behind it? So yeah. So the reason why I chose the first show was because I planned for the national show. Right? I want to go pro. National show is how you go pro. and I looked at the whole season as a whole, right? This was the first national show. And if I don't get my pro card here, I have the rest of the national shows this season I can do to go pro. So I wanted to hit the first one, and I had to requalify since I wasn't qualified this year. So I had to requalify, and I looked at probably one of the closest shows to that date in New Jersey at a venue I liked, and that was the one that I just stated before. So that's how I chose it, kind of just for convenience factor. Okay, next one. How does engaging in bodybuilding as a young person, 18 to 23, so sorry, man, you're out of this one, impact social life, social growth, and the formation of memories, considering the sacrifices involved in pursuing this fitness-oriented lifestyle? It's a good question. So I'm gonna answer it, but there's a part right here, the formation of memories. I'm not losing any memories. I'm creating memories in my life I'm holding now, you know? My life is bodybuilding and training really hard, having some good pals, or traveling to train with some people. Those are some sick-ass memories that if someone wasn't in my position, they probably wish they could be here. Wow, this kid's 21 years old. He's flying out to Vegas to go train with him. That's fucking cool. I've never been to Vegas, number one, and he's training with this big mass monster. So there's its own memories in itself. Social life, your life could be as social as you want it to be with bodybuilding, and that is pretty much true. If you want to become a good bodybuilder, sure, it's pretty lonesome and lonely and repetitive. But if you want, you could bring your meal out to your friend's house. You could bring it out to a house party. You don't have to drink. You could still enjoy the memories and stuff like that. So it's your perspective and how you deal with things, you know? Sure, there are sacrifices that you will have to make, that your body's tired, you don't want to go out. It happens. But you just got to realize the position you're in to your goals and shit. Yeah, that's all right. You can answer it.
It was decent. No, I don't qualify.
All right, cool. You're about to turn 32?
I don't qualify. What the fuck?
Sunday. Next question. I'm 16 years old, 2.2. So that's what? That's...
Oh, my God.
How many months is that? 2.2.
It's 2 months and, like, a week.
2 months and a week. I'm 16 years old, 2 years and 2 months and 1 week of training currently, working with a coach and soaking up knowledge from every podcast I can get my hands on. Kyle and Ant, Bro Chat, HD Muscle. I'm currently in a bulk, 160 pounds. Do I have potential in the sport of bodybuilding? I understand I have a long way to go. Just would like to be rated by some vets. Thanks for the picture at the O, Anthony. So I met
2 years and 3 months.
2 years and 3 months?
3 months.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's 16 and 3 months.
All right, so I met this young gent. That's it. Okay, so he has some photos here, which we'll put up on screen for you guys to see yourself. Mm-hmm. So let's see, Kyle, 16 years old. I'm trying to think what I looked at 16. Go ahead. You can distinguish first.
I mean, for 16, I think the fact that he even knows any poses and he has like some muscle,
right?
It's better than how I looked at 16, man.
I agree there too. It's hard to say. Like, you can't like look at a 16-year-old and be like, yes, like you're gonna be an Olympian. You know, you're gonna be an IBF
He's someone that you just need muscle.
Yeah,
you need to take a good
continue your time growing.
Take your time, 2 years, grow.
What I would say is obviously with your interest in the sport, you're all in the right places. You know, you're not caught up in some cheesy fitness influencers that are doing some cheesy workouts, trying to put on some cheesy muscle growth. You're doing the right shit. You know, you're following.
Is that a shot at somebody?
A little bit. You know, you're on the right path. You're following the right people, and you're hitting the poses pretty good. You know, so that's all I
think that's pretty sweet though for someone 16 to
look like
good physique. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. At 16,
I look like a hog at 16.
At 16, like sure I had muscle on me, but like I don't know how to hit these poses like he's hitting. So very good, man. It was nice to meet you at the O as well. Hope to see you there again if I go again, which I will. You ready? Next one.
Yeah, I'm ready. You want me to ask you?
Yeah, sure. I didn't read it.
Okay. I got you. If you could go back and give a piece of advice to your younger self first getting into bodybuilding to really take that extra step, what would it be?
Great question. It would be to eat my 6 meals a day. Food is better than drugs. And to stretch and touch your body all over.
You know, you were doing good. It was a good.
When was the last time you touched
Your body.
the insertion of where your hamstring meets your glute?
The other day, actually, I've been practicing my posing. I got to get ready.
When was the last time you touched your tibialis? A
Can't
little
say
bit.
I have. But, so to answer this question on my end, I would say something similar. I would take nutrition more seriously. Now that there's so much, you can learn pretty much anything on the internet. You don't even have to have a coach. And you could definitely put things into action a lot sooner than I did. And also, this was... Also, Anthony, you were my first ever fitness YouTube video I saw in 2019-ish. It inspired on me as my journey to being a young lifter. Love, Ty Smith.
Well, Ty Smith, that's fucking awesome. That's really cool to be someone's like first video they see in fitness and they continue that for like a good majority of their life. Pretty cool if you ask me.
Yeah, to be someone's first, yeah.
Virginity.
Next, number 9. Number 9 on the forms.
I got a question for you after the podcast.
Okay.
Which is number 9?
This is like 20 ass questions. What the fuck?
This is a lot of questions in one?
No, this is just number 9. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. It looks like there's like 8 questions on this. They're statements that are just
You gotta
tabs.
read it with some emotion.
All right. Always a pleasure watching you guys on the podcast, talking about a variety of topics or through workout vlogs. Love the content and knowledge. Been following you guys from Ant and Grant's high school days. Kyle, I think this is your year with Ant, Dom G, and Anton, and what each of them can all do within their own class. Kyle, for one, eats clean just about all the time. Could that hinder or slow results without occasionally throwing in other foods that aren't? If so, how often would you say?
So from a physical standpoint, if you're trying to be a bodybuilder,
Yep.
I don't think it's going to hurt you. I would encourage you to have that free meal and stuff from time to time, but that's more so you're not neurotic and don't feel like life is over if you can't bring your lunchbox out with you or if the power's out and you can't eat your meal.
So basically, you're saying eating clean food all the time is completely fine, but if it's like mentally a challenge like that to
Yeah,
once
and for
a
most
time,
people,
yeah.
I think mentally, because you want to participate in things, so sometimes that involves going and get a cookie or something,
or
right?
a burger,
or a
at bar,
burger, or pizza.
pizza, cannoli at a bakery after the gym.
Chick-fil-A.
I did that. Rainbow cookie, by the way.
So
That's a good choice.
Hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah. All right. So continue the emotional.
Okay.
Ant, keep grinding, brother. You seem the most focused this time around. It's really going to show when it's time to step on stage.
Pretty good, bro.
I appreciate it, man. I'm pretty good at public speaking. I really am. Like when I would present in English class, I always did a really good job with.
How did you present in English class?
Actually, my last fucking no, that was a test. Close to my last day of high school, I had to present. I was the first person to
On
present.
Zoom?
No, bro.
You guys were back in class?
In school. And I'm pretty good at public speaking. I would read, look up.
When did you graduate? Didn't you graduate during COVID?
Yes.
So how were you in class?
How was I in class?
Yeah, they didn't have class. They canceled.
My
all
last
that.
class was like March something, dude. My last day, I slept at David Lade's house, Ubered back home to go to school. Anyways,
Proceed.
I see you aren't sponsored by any brands currently. Sponsored by Young LA right now, that's it. Is there one in particular you're set on, or are you kind of just enjoying the free will, so to speak, and using whatever brands you want without a tag to your name? That's a great question. You know, it really is. I'll answer this one now before I read the rest. So, you got to think about it. When you're with a brand, right, number one, it's an income source. And number two, you should be with a brand that you actually enjoy representing. Because if you don't, it kind of really, like, would you want to talk about something or promote something that you don't truly enjoy? You kind of just feel like you're selling your soul selling your soul pretty much. So right now I'm not with any supplement company because I haven't really, I'll be honest, the one company I really, really, really loved was Gorilla. And that's because if I owned a supplement company, it would be exactly like Gorilla. With all their lines of products they have, I would formulate and make the same exact type of shit. So I'm sure I could go back with them. I haven't reached out, and I might be doing that in this next week. But yeah, that's pretty much that I can think of. And then, for example, like I have got hit up by some companies for meal prep and stuff like that. And I've eaten the food itself, and it's not something I would actually use and put into my body. So there comes a value to your name, and sure, you can get every single sponsorship you'd like and rack up your money. But then when you start seeing people jumping around and doing all these type of sponsorships, you just see the person for who they are, and you want to hold your value.
Is that a shot of somebody?
I was thinking of someone when I said that. Wait, who are you?
There was still a question.
Been lifting since 1334. Now just completed my first show back in June. Took first in true novice, and open. Where do you see areas in which I can improve, and what can I do to make the physique better? Well, first up, Ryan, we're going to compliment your physique. We're not going to look at the negatives. We're going to compliment your shit.
No, I'm talking shit. Let me see.
First photo. All right. Where's the tab to go back to this? You know what, Ryan? You got a good physique. Let's compliment it. You know what? I'd say you condition yourself for the stage, right? You're very conditioned. I think your back's pretty solid, right? No?
You're asking me?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, I think he needs more muscle on his chest.
Yeah,
his back.
Yes, we're talking about positives first. Yes.
No, I'm getting to the nitty gritty, bro. This is helping the kid, all right?
Yeah.
Conditioning is.
Ha! And you're old.
All right, you know what? Anyway, Ryan, I appreciate you sending these photos over. Conditioning was good for a regional, for sure. I think from the front, you can just look at your physique. I think that's not probably the best pose for you, but definitely just more mass on your chest. Mm-hmm. So bringing that up, I would make a focal point of like your improvement season. Then looking at the back, I think he has a pretty good taper, just more muscle, lat, teres region, just thickness overall. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And as his shoulders get better too, his rear delts will pop more, so that'll make that pose look better. But that's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree completely. Maybe too, when you hit that front pose, it looks like kind of collapse a little bit. Like it looks like he's like.
Yeah, I don't think it was the best pose. Like I said, I think he's better than he's presenting. And a lot of times people don't present themselves to the best they could be, which is a cool thing when you fix it.
So thank you for that, Rai. Is this it? Grant number 22? Yeah. Hello from Germany. My name is Liam. I'm 19 years old. I started training May of 2022. I would love to hear some advice on growing my chest. More volume, more intensity, heavy weight, hitting it twice a week. I'm just under 187 pounds. All right, Liam. I mean, Kyle, I also need some answers on this. Actually, I've seen some improvements on my chest this last week, so I can answer this with all of my glory. Oh. Okay. All right. So Liam's in the stages. He's a young lad. He has his eyes on bodybuilding. He's doing his check-in photos. He's acquiring some mass. I mean, hey, man, great start. Great start. So to answer your question about chest training,
So you wanted to answer?
I mean, all I've been doing a little bit differently was I found a machine I liked.
So I think, getting to his question, if anyone wants to bring up any body part, the most common thought is, let me do more. Yeah. I don't care if you train a body part 7 days a week and do tons of volume. At some point, it becomes ineffective and it's just junk, but it comes down to how you're doing it. So you want to pick the basic exercises and master them, making sure that you feel it. Just because sometimes people say, oh, does it look good? It might look good, but does it feel good? That's what you have to tell me, right? If we see, it's very obvious when something doesn't look good, if your shoulders are coming forward, for example, but sometimes it could look good and you don't feel it. So it has to come down to what's going to make you neurologically connect and not changing it up. Bodybuilding is pretty boring for the most part when it comes to nutrition, it comes to training. People always want to reinvent the wheel, but rather than focus on doing more volume, 5 times a week, whatever it may be, pick the exercises, master them, and just stick to them. So I don't know how tall he is, but if he's a taller guy, there's certain exercises you want to stay away from. If you're a shorter person, as you touched on, if were being serious, I don't know if you were joking, but when you find a machine that you like, stick to that machine and just milk it for what it's worth.
You got that tomorrow, right?
Yes, I do. All right, was there another question, Grant, or is that it? That was it. That's a pretty good episode. We answered some of the questions. I actually enjoy that segment a lot. Kind of connecting to
you
our
said you had a
viewers.
question for me?
Yes.
Outside of the podcast.
Oh, I was excited to get to it. Okay.
I'd get you in trouble with this question.
Oh, let's not do that.
So we're not going to do that. But, yeah, no, I like doing that segment. We kind of involve the viewers and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. You actually get to, when they had the photos, so you get to see the face to our viewers.
And for those of you, I wouldn't say people have to keep double sending things. By all means,
Yeah,
I guess
no.
the more you see, the better chance we have of looking at it. But we'll try to always take at least 15, 20 minutes if we can to kind of go through them. And by, so there's no reason that we avoid certain ones. It's just kind of, there were a lot of responses, a lot more than I thought we'd get. So we just kind of pick what we can and that we find will be most productive for you guys when we look.
Like the ones we don't get through, there's like 75. So we get 10. We'll still do those 65 eventually. It's like in a bank essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
It will get dealt with.
Do you have anything you want to end off the episode with?
No, man. I mean,
Nice tracksuit, bro.
it is pretty good, man.
Yeah,
We're
gonna plug it again. Here we go, guys. That tracksuit is dropping. We're replugging it since Grant brought it up. It's dropping, like Kyle said, on the 30th. We got a whole new Young LA drop coming. Trust me, it's pretty sweet. You don't want to miss out on this. Retro tracksuit, retro track pants. There's a nice crew. Is it a crew neck? Nice Young LA crew neck. It's simple. It's comfy. It's long sleeve. My favorite item to drop. There's also some like cool jackets that's more street stylish. Like, if you like that stuff, it's there for you.
There's also wrist wraps.
There's wrist wraps and belts too, which were high quality. So go check those out. You can use code ANT, code SIR, code GRANT, whichever one you want to use. And to end off the episode, we're going to sing happy birthday to Kyle. Come here, Grant.
Oh,
Kyle's birthday is Sunday, so here we go, man. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kyle. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
I appreciate it, boys.
How
Thank
sad.
you very much.
Of course, man. On that episode, we're going to close it there. Thank you guys for tuning in. And on that note, we'll catch you in the next one. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.